Hi, FlossTube. It's Jen, also known as Quirks and Stitches. It is Saturday, February 5th, and I wanted to hop on today and film my January recap. You know how I said that whole thing that, like, yeah, I'm going to film every day of this 222 journey. We're just going to take a sip of coffee and realize that you all knew that wasn't going to happen. Yeah. I'm in my new spot. I think this, we bought this house and it has this really cool enclosed front porch with like this exposed brick and everything. And I really thought that would be my spot. And it's not. Like, I just couldn't get it. I have a vision for it. It just isn't there yet. And so I really didn't really think my craft room would be that much, but it's really coming together. I'm really excited about it. I have all my projects lining the wall over there. Let's see. I don't think I have anything incriminating. I will turn you so you can kind of see. So like all of my projects are over on that wall. I've got a desk over in that corner. Those are all my original copies. I'm not storing them with my projects this year because typically I always keep them in my project bags, but trying to conserve space and make sure that everything worked okay, I didn't. And then this little corner is like this new little coming together. I bought this cute little patchwork chair that I love, and I just needed, my mom kept yelling at me for not having this hung up in the house, so I was like, I'm just hanging it up. It's not going to stay there, but I actually really like it here. And I figure this will be like all stitchy type stuff, is my vision for it. And then I've got all this other wall space, and like this room, every space can be filled with stitching. And then I also have like a little coffee bar over there. Not that I really think I'm going to use my coffee machine in here, because literally my regular coffee bar setup is like just through the door and down the hall. But I figured, well, it can't hurt. We have this extra Keurig that we use when like we go away, and I might as well just have it sitting out. So I have a mug display, and oh, you want to see that part too? Here. Let's see if I can show you. That spot's a little messier right now, and I'm trying to just hold the webcam, so that's there. So it's coming together, only been in the house for 2 years, whatever, it's all good. So I'm really loving this space, but I'm learning the natural lighting. I need new curtains because they're awful. But I found these really cute, like woodland curtains, and now I can't find them anymore. So I have to convince my mom to make me some curtains out of like fox fabric, because I really want a wall in this room that's like all animals dressed up as people. I don't know why that means I need to have fox drapes, curtains, but in my head it does. So, but it's getting there. Sorry, I was testing my mic earlier and I meant to mute my computer again. So take care of that. So yeah, I'm loving this space. It really is coming together, and it gives me a nice spot just to kind of like another stitchy spot. Like I have a light next to me, and I'm using my little cart right now. I just posted a picture on my Instagram. I can't decide if I want my little cart from Michael's with the lid to live next to me, or if that's too cluttered. We'll see. It's all learning, and but it's working. So I'm liking it. I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to remember what I need to do when I film, because it's been a while since I filmed just a regular FlossTube. What is going on in my world? 222 is pretty predominant. For those of you that don't know, I will give a little recap. So 222 is my birthday celebration for this year, because I'm turning 40 on 2/22/2022. So I decided that I needed to be a little adventurous and start 222 projects to commemorate the year. You're probably going to hear the cats and possibly see them, because this is their new favorite room. They just went tearing down the hallway. So we used to keep the doors shut in here all the time because I have yarn on the shelf by the coffee thing, but I just put lids on it, and it's better that they have access to the space, so that then every time I try to come in here, it's like a fight, and they try to get in, and then I have to squirt them, and then They do pretty good now, except Ale is a little obsessive of everything. So anyway, it's 222 starts this year. My goal is 40 minutes for a start, is that's what it's, because turning 40, every number has to have a reason. And then, but you know, I think that people heard me, because I've talked about this before on here, heard me say this, but had no idea that I was going as in depth with this planning as I said. So it's 222 starts, and then I broke it down into 19 categories. Not every category has a date of the month associated with it. We'll get into that as I start showing you my starts. But a lot of them do. So like on the 1st of the month, I'm always going to start a certain type of project. On the 10th of the month, I'm always going to start a project from a certain category. But then there's also Stitch Madness as a category, because I'm going to do that in March again, where I do a new start every day. And Miscellaneous Holidays is a category. That might have gotten me to my 19, because I think there's one other that's not a typical, something like that. So anyway, 19 categories. And then I wanted to do 82 different designers, because it's big for me. I like to make sure that I'm giving props and spreading the word of different designers that people may not be familiar with, or, you know, that my stitching gives respect to many different people that are in this industry, because everybody has different styles, and I want to be able to embrace different things when I'm stitching, and I don't want my house to be filled with all the same stuff. So, you know, I have my designers that I gravitate towards, like the Heartstrings and the Kathy Barrick, and, you know, it's the biggies, but like Lucy Beam, the I Will Cut You, that's huge right now. And I have an announcement about Lucy Beam that will be happening later, not today, but keep your eyes open. I love Lucy Beam. I started the I Will Cut You because she shaved her head and I shaved my head, and it was just, she's fantastic. But anyway, you know, it's just so 82 different designers. And I tried then in each category to have 12 different designers if they were on like the dates of the month. So I'm really, you know, I have a thought process why I do most things. Like I don't, as I said in the last marathon, I don't do random real well. So I needed to make sure that like it all kind of flowed. So I'm starting all of these projects. 40 minutes a day is my ultimate goal. However, I am actually trying to do the 24 hours of cross stitch acrostics this year and the stitch through the days. So each month I'm plugging in my starts for the acrostic, and my goal is 222 minutes, which is a little under 4 hours. And then, but I also want to make sure that like old projects are getting some love, because I came into this year with, I feel like I'm talking really fast. I came into this year with 35 whips. And so I wanted to make sure that I was still able to work on them some and still, you know, get some progress on things that are already existing. So what I did was I plugged a big ass project and then just like kind of a large or a medium project into each month as well, that those are going to be focus pieces. And then my oldest whip, I also want to get finished this year. So every year I want to try to finish the oldest whip in my stash for that year. We'll see. It's working so far. I did my acrostic last month. I kind of dropped the ball on stitch through the day, but you know, I'm going to try it again this month. And then I'm also trying the February Olympics thing that Katie Green put out, Naptime Stitcher. So I'm going to be doing that as well. So I did it yesterday and we'll get back into it, but I'm also going to be pulling out some of the projects I'm going to show you today for this month's acrostics. So what I did was I plugged in my main goals, which is the 222, but then I also did a secondary acrostic to try to give me a chance to pull out some more of my old starts, where I'm going to shoot for like 2 hours and 22 minutes. So on a day when I don't have a start planned, I could maybe pull one of these old ones out. I don't know that this might be too much stitching that I'm trying to do, but what else am I doing? I mean, it snowed a ton this weekend, like a ton. So I was able to sit at home and stitch for a while, which was nice. But I'm not going to talk about February in this video. It is my birthday month. It's coming. I'm going to be 40. Yay. But I'm going to talk about January. So, goals for this filming. I put out on Instagram if people had questions for me as I was planning my 222, and I have some of those questions queued up that I figured I could go over. I also am going to be showing you my January starts. I'm going to show you the focus pieces that I used for January that were not, that were older whips. And then I'm going to show you some of the finished framing things that my mom finished. Typically when I film, I don't, I have everything taken out of the project bags and ready to go so that we don't waste that time. But part of the excitement of 222 was that my mom made me coordinating project bags for every project. So I'm going to show you the bags. That's just because she's amazing, and I cannot believe that she actually did this and bought fabric. And still, like, when we kitted everything up, she was like, I'll buy a new piece of fabric for this one because I think we can do something better. So my mom is amazing. You guys know that. So we are going to go ahead. We're going to go through January, and I'm going to explain my starts, show you what it is, and go from there. So, are we ready for this, you think? I don't know. I feel like I've been playing it up way too much. So, first up is, in all things, be exceedingly diligent. This was gifted to me by Welcome Stitchery. The shop owner reached out and was absolutely amazing and said that she wanted to kit me up 2 projects as a birthday present. And so I was like, well, my first project that I do is going to be from her. Stuff comes amazing from her shop. Like, I got needle minders. They're out in Minnesota. And there's the Jolly Green Giant needle minders. And so she's just awesome. So I'm stitching this one on, I should have gotten up. Let's see if I have it. I designed these little project cards, and I'm going to put them in my Etsy shop. And what they are is it gives you a spot to kind of keep all of your information about the project that you're stitching. So I'm stitching this on 36 count Dusty Rose by Seraphim Fabrics. And then on the back, they're designed to print double-sided. You can track the dates you're stitching. Now this year I am tracking my minutes. I may regret doing that when I total it all up, but we will see. So I'm going with it for now. So I'm trying to keep one of these in each of my projects just so I have the spot to record the date. I keep a timer app on my phone and keep them there, but it's easy to hit the timer and have it like keep scheduling what it's going to do. Talking about Etsy updates, I'm also going to be putting my floss cards up. These will come in a set of 2. I have no idea like pricing for this stuff. Porter's in the window, that's why I keep looking over there. So these will be a printable thing that you can do if you're interested in them. I think I've showed them before. I have a page that has 20. This is the full page, and then I also have a half page size that you get 2 on a page to print out, and it's 9 holes. And they come so that you can fold them over. There's a line that gives you the middle of the page, and then I just punch a hole down the side, and I can put my floss on it. I tend to do my DMC this way, and then I do my overdyes on floss tags. So these will also be going in my Etsy shop. I recommend if you're going to buy them, print them I use cover stock, and because it folds better and you can get a better cut when you actually go to cut and make them. Enough of that. This is how far I got on In All Things Be Exceedingly Diligent. I really liked working on this one. My goal with these is to work on them when I start them, finish the acrostic if I'm doing that, but I'm not pulling them out multiple times throughout the month. So like until I show them to you so you can see what I'm considering my start. There are a couple that I've worked on for multiple days, but that's because I wasn't doing another new start that day and I just wasn't quite ready to be finished with it. So there are a few that have had multiple days. That was just 1 day worth of stitching. I got a lot of stitching in this month. I don't know that every month I'll be able to keep that up. We'll see. I also have these little kit cards that I keep in them. This is what I used to help me when I was kitting up my projects. So, because putting together 222 is a little daunting. And so it has all of the details on it for me. It had what the floss was that I needed, and I could check it off as I was kitting it up. And then when we were picking out the fabrics, I just wrote down like the stitch count, did the math to figure out what I was going to need, and then the final cut of the fabric. So, and recorded what the fabric was that I was using. I generally keep all that information on a spreadsheet, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't losing any of this information as I was starting so many things. So that was my first start. In January, I started 19 projects. Typically on the first of the month, though, this one fell under that miscellaneous holidays, New Year, New Start. Typically on the first of the month, I'm going to be doing a block premiere at Hawk Run Hollow because I've decided I want to stitch it. I started it at one point during a 24-hour marathon and did not love my fabric choice or the DMC conversion. So I'm restarting it. I'm doing each as individual blocks. I should have got a bottle of water. I might have to call Brandon. I'm doing each as individual blocks, and every first of the month will be a different block month. So you'll get a glimpse of February because I'm keeping them in the same bags. How cool is this fabric that my mom made? Oh, and then this was the bag that, in all things, Be Exceedingly Diligent is. I felt like the alphabets just matched because it's all alphabets I'm typesetting. This 222 fabric, I love it. And she made me, she has some black and white ones, and so I have some big and little. Since this one's so big, I have a project bag that just has all the pieces in it, and I have a project bag just for the floss. So I don't actually have the floss over here for this. I'm not going to worry about it now. I did do a conversion for this one. So what I did was I kind of looked at what I was doing last time, and then I edited what I was using. So like just went in, I loaded the key into GoodNotes and changed up what I was doing it as. So I'm using a lot of like Victorian motto, color and cotton, and then just stash that I had. And this block really kind of started pretty well. I'm doing these on 36 count Legacy by Picture This Plus, but I'm using the picture kind of more as my guide because the conversion just was not working for me, and I didn't want to do the silks for this one. So you want a sneak peek of February? This one needs lots of color changes. So even my conversion with it, I'm still sitting there like, nope, not right. We're changing that one up. I don't want an orange bird sitting on a tree. Why it was orange? So that was my second start of January and 2022. My third start in this beautiful owl bag. The third of the month will be an owl start. This pattern was gifted to me by Cindy C. Again, I don't have my originals. I just have my working copies here. But this is Sophia, Baltimore Bride by Summerhouse Stitchworks. Here's one of those half-page project cards. Looks like that. Using DMC for this. And I am stitching this on 40 count Legacy by Picture This Plus. And this is how far I got on it. I know that someone asked about needles. I buy my needles in bulk off of eBay. I forget what the site is. I can link what I use though. If I remember, if I don't, just message me. But I get them in like 100 needle packs. I only stitch with John James 28 count needles. So I just buy those, and then when I'm going to start my thing, I put a needle with the project. So I bought 200, and I figured with what I had, I still had enough to be able to do that. On the 4th of the month, it's all about the whales. How cool is this one in the message bottle? Or the ships in the bottle. This start is by Barbara Anna. And it is the New World Over the Seas. I'm not going to be finishing, I have all the series, but I'm not going to be finishing it as is. I'm using the DMC for this. I'm going to be finishing them as individual pillows, and I don't know if I'll stitch all of them or not, but this is how far I got on it. This is Midnight Ride 40 Count by X Jude. I have a project that I'm starting later in the year that this fabric is unbelievable for. It's a little out of my comfort zone, a little bit like the splotchierness, but I like it for this, so I'm happy with it. So that was the 4th. And the inside fabric is like little waves. It's so good. Okay. Then we jump to the 8th. I don't have any projects, and when I did my months, I specifically thought about, I wanted to give myself some gaps to count as catch up in case life happens and I wasn't able to get the start I had planned done, or if I wanted to pull out an old project and just work on it for several days. So I really tried to do that. So that was the start on the 4th. Then I don't start anything again until the 8th. And again, deliberate, planned in there. So this is Quilting Bee by Blue Flower. I had this one kitted up for forever. Back when I was going to do Madness 2020, I was going to do this. So I've had this fabric picked for a long time. And it's, again, a little out of my comfort zone. It's like a purpley lilac. It's Antique Hydrangea by R&R. But I'm loving the colors on it. I really like how it's coming. I really want to stitch Winter Bee as well. Okay. Then we've got, on the 9th of every month, I'm starting a house-themed project because we bought our house on the 9th. Just got to do as I do. Cinnamon Stars by Plum Street. I have had this project forever, and I'm really glad I didn't start it before now because I think if I had started it when I first got it, I was still only using DMC, and I'm really glad that I'm doing it with the overdyed flosses. So I am just doing called for. I tend not to change her colors much. And this is on 36 count Navy Bean by Lakeside. Originally, when I was kitting everything up, I was like, I'm going to make new floss tags for every single thing that I have, all the floss that I'm going to use. No, they're just on old cards. Someone asked if I use new or if I go through a stash for my stuff. I use stash as much as I can. If it's a really big project, I will buy new skeins. And if it's Gentle Arts, I typically try to buy from Craft Gallery because they're 10-yard skeins. And so you're getting a good bang for your buck when you get them. But a lot of times I use what I have. And when I was kitting up for this, let's see if I have my kit card in here for this one. So you can see I have all the colors for it, but then I noted that Wheatfields is also going to be used for a different project that I'm starting later in the year. So I tried to make notes on here. I also have it noted on my spreadsheets. If I happen to come across some of that floss, I may pick it up throughout this year because I'm really not buying like I was last year. But I wanted to make sure that I was being as frugal as I could with kitting up all of these projects. So I did a lot of stash conversions. And then I looked specifically at the patterns too to see how much of a color I would need. So if it was possible to be able to share it, I tried to do that. I need some chapstick too. On the 10th of the month, I'm going to be starting something that's like coffee or tea related. This month's is hot chocolate. And it's 10 because if I don't have my coffee or tea by 10 o'clock in the morning, I have a headache. So that's why. So this one is Winter Hot Chocolate by Madame Chantilly. That owl and the fox. I just love them. I think they're so cute. It's not typically my style, but I just, for a little piece that I can have out, I wanted to. And I'm not sure that I'll even do the writing underneath. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but this is how far I got on it. I think it's so cute. And I'm stitching this on 36 count Dapple by Picture This Plus with DMC. I really also, when I was kitting up these projects, tried to be conscious of, I only have so much wall space. We have a lot in this house, but, framing costs can be expensive. And can you tell I need to get my hair cut since I won't stop swooping? Although I think I just need to like shave this side. I think I'm to the point where that might need to happen. I don't know. Get these bangs shaped up a little bit. So Mom's gonna love that whole asymmetrical thing. I wanted to be able to finish some things as like pillows or maybe flat folds. I don't know. So I really did try to think about that when I was kitting. I also, when I kitted, made sure that I noted sizes. I do my size categories, so I've got some things that fall in mini, smalls, mediums, larges, and big ass projects. I tend to stitch really big projects, so I was mindful of not starting 1,000 of them. I think I have 13 scheduled throughout the year this year, because I do want to get some finishes. I'm shooting for at least 40 finishes this year. On the 13th, so then we skip a couple days. On the 13th of the month, I'm going to be doing Dark 13, put out there by Cozy Egg and Eclectic Possessions. This is Haunted Stitches Needlebook by Stacy Nash. This one did get 2 days of stitching. I'm using the called for colors. And I'm doing it on 40 count Oaken by Picture This Plus. So here's the front. And then I'm also stitching the other component of it. So this is, I believe, 2 days worth of stitching. Look at that project bag. I love it. This is one of my little ones. Really enjoyed stitching that. I want to have a bunch of needle books around in my craft room, so I did try to do quite a few of those as starts this year as well. On the what month did I start this? A little cheat sheet. We'll see. I haven't gotten all of my project cards into it yet because it does take. Normally when I'm kitting things up, it's a little easier. This kind of hit me all at once. The 15th of the month is a fox start. No rhyme or reason to that. The 4th of the month is the whales. That's because there's 4 chapters in Jonah. You know. Winter Fox by Not Forgotten Farm. stitching with DMC. Also, that was another thing I was conscious of was, you know, I wanted projects that I would stitch in DMC or projects that I could stitch in overdyed, but I didn't want to do all of either kind. I wanted to have a mixture. That's how far I got on that. And this is 36 count tea set by Graham Cracker Fabrics. Other thing I'm really enjoying about this is trying some new fabrics. I ordered a lot of fat quarters when I was ordering things. And look at this cute project bag. The little winter fox. I love it. I ordered a lot of fat quarters so that I would be able to just like cut and try and see if I like different designers, especially since or dyers, since I lean towards like Lakeside. And that's so hard to find right now. I wanted to see what my other alternatives were. I noticed that the sun is shifting, and so now we've got this big shadow here. I'm sorry, I don't know how to fix that. On the can't really do anything about it. On the 16th of the month, I am starting a monochromatic piece. I believe it's 16th, yes. And again, a deliberate choice. I love monochromatic designs. I think they're fun. But I knew then I didn't have to buy a lot of fabric for those pieces. So that's 12 that you're only buying, one. And I'm allowing 2 colors into my monochromatic things. So this is Quaker Street by Marjorie Massey. I don't have the cover here. I'm not sure what I did with it. And I am stitching this on 40 count Dirty Brown by X Jude. It's very yellow. I like it. Yellow is growing on me. And I'm using a Victorian motto, 17th century patina. And then just this like gray geometric. So my mom took my categories and just was like, I'm going to make things for each category. So. Okay. On the 19th of the month, I will be starting something bird themed. My porch is very bird related. I don't really like birds as like a thing. I think I've said this before. I have a bird tattooed on my shoulder, but I'm not sure where the whole bird obsession came from. But yeah, the porch is kind of bird themed. And I have a Poe corner out there. So I started the Raven by Lottie Da. And the reason I did this on January 19th and why the 19th is birds is Poe's birthday is January 19th. So I wanted to start a Poe theme thing. So this is on 46 count Mocha by Weeks Dye Works. If you followed me for any time, you know I have like a love-hate relationship with Weeks. This is why I got me Weeks. But I've actually started to like find my kind of groove with their old stuff. And I wanted to try the 46 count. This is how far I got on that. DMC. It's in a small project bag. Sometimes it's hard to get things in the project bag. My mom makes the small ones going this way for me, but she likes them mirroring the little ones better. I have to agree that it's easier to get things in and out of this kind of the way she likes them. On the 20th, it will be something like pet themed. So, because Watson's birthday is February 20th, so it's cats or dogs. This one was, There's Probably by the Scarlet House. But I decided I didn't want to do cat or dog because I didn't want to have to do them both, and I have both animals, so I recharted it, and it says pet hair. And I got a finish. So I used conversion colors for this and used Espresso Bean by Gast and Cherry Bark, which was called for. And it's in this very like watercolored cat bag. You saw this if you watched the marathon video, but I'm going to go ahead and show it to you again. this was my marathon start. And it was, and that was 35 count weeks, gray. My Necessity by Heartstrings. And I'm stitching this, My Necessity by Heartstrings. Stitching this on pie crust, also by Graham Cracker, but I'm doing 40 count. And this was marathon, so that was a couple days. I got a page finish on it, and I'm using a Victorian Motto Autumn Bronze. And it's in one of my marathon clock bags. Uh-oh, Porter's investigating. Let's see if we can get her on camera. She's the cutest little petite cat. I also started this during the marathon. On the 22nd, I will be starting projects that is basically like, why haven't you stitched this yet, Jen? Like, come on. So it's another Poe one, the Dream Journal Gothic. Hi, Porter Lee. You gonna get on camera? I'm stitching it on a Sampler Khaki by X Jude, 40 count. And I'm using Blackboard. Yeah, Blackboard by Gast. And I will be changing what goes in the little bubble. Watch the marathon video if you're interested in hearing more about that. I think I rambled about it quite a bit. Ale has also entered the room now, so who knows what will be happening. The 24th of the month, I will be starting something quirky or something that like relates to some of my other hobbies or collections. So I have a slight obsession with robots. I'm not really sure where it came from. I like vintage old robots is what like I'm trying to harken back to when I say robots. Not Transformer robots. However, I do have like a lot of memories of like doing the Transformers robot in disguise and trying to get that voice down. But this is Ars Robotica by Ink Circles. This is another fabric that's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I had it in my stash and thought that it worked really well for the piece. It's Shadowbrook. It's very green. It's not coming up quite as green as it actually is. Shadowbrook by Silkweaver. And I'm doing the called for colors. I did only stitched with Uniform Blue, but I will be subbing Merlot, Weeks Dye Work Merlot, instead of the red that's called for. Ooh, that sun is not liking where I'm sitting right now. I might have to pause and fix that. Ale is liking where I'm sitting right now. Let's see if I can get this. Get you a little closer to me. On the 25th, I will be doing a Christmas start. Sorry. Look at this bag. Look at that bag, that fabric. This is First Day of Christmas by Hello from Liz Matthews. And I want to finish it as the tree. Christmas start on the 25th because the 25th is Christmas. Stitching it on 36 count Havana by Weeks. Just doing the tree, and I'm using the DMC, but when I wrote down the colors, I didn't realize that the colors were different for the tree and the sampler. So I pulled the sampler colors. So I'm using the sampler colors for the tree pattern. Sometimes I don't pay quite enough attention. I mean to, but I thought it would be great doing this in natural light. I thought wrong. On the 26th of each month, I am starting something related to the alphabet. I taught for a lot of years. I'm still in education. I have a sweet spot and everything for the alphabet and like the alphabet strips that used to be in my classroom. When I need to just doodle, I don't doodle, so I'll just write the alphabet over and over again. This is Circling Alphabets by Hester's Sister. I am stitching this on 36 count fawn by Picture This Plus. This was 2 days worth of work. Really enjoying it. Like, it's really fun. It was really weird though, like my mom and I were talking about it, not to just turn it and like keep stitching that way. I wonder though if that's how they meant for you to do it, because if you look on the pattern, it the symbols actually shift. So like it's a handwritten pattern. And so they just turned the page and did the symbols. I don't know how to describe that without showing the pattern. I'm not going to do that and get in trouble. So that's just DMC. And it's in this circle bag. Circling Alphabets. It all goes so well together. On the 28th of the month, I'll be starting something stitching related because I only stitch with size 28 John James needles. And this month's is Lucy Beam's Cross Stitch is what is it? Cross Stitch Makes Everything Okay. I love her quirkiness. I don't know why I printed that small. Cross Stitch Makes Everything Okay. And I'm pretty sure I'm doing Called For, except I subbed Grape Leaf for Hazel Brown. And I'm doing this on 36 count L by Picture This Plus. And I have it in like a bag, like a geometric kind of quirky bag. And then on the 31st of the month, which not every month has, I will be starting something Halloween related. So there will only be 7 of those starts. This month's was Welcome Halloween by The Drawn Thread. It was originally going to be a different pattern, but I needed some more time to get that one all kitted up. So I switched it to this. This was going to be started in October, but I switched. So Welcome Halloween. I did a full conversion for this. And I am stitching it on 40 count Tin Roof by Weeks Dye Works. It was a really fun. Like it was really fun because I'm stitching something else on this fabric and wasn't liking it. But sometimes I found with Weeks, if it's like congested stitching, I like it a lot better. I like how the stitches lay. So I'm enjoying this. And those are my January starts. So 20, or was it 20? I think so. 19. No, 19. 19 starts in January. And it wasn't too overwhelming. It went well. I'm going to stay on the 222 theme right now and just go through a couple of those questions that people had. Katie Green asked if my mom would adopt her for the project bags. I thought that was pretty funny. Let me see here. What were some of the other questions? Has there been a new start that I couldn't put down and wanted to keep stitching? I want to get back to all of them. Like when I'm stitching something and starting it, I find my groove generally. There wasn't a start that I was like, ugh, I can't wait till this day is over. So I will say that. As far as one that I didn't want to put down and couldn't, I really enjoyed all of them. So I don't, not one speaks out like specifically. Do I feel a ton of pressure to stick to my schedule? Not really. I actually think I would be feeling, just knowing my personality, a lot more pressure if I didn't have a schedule, because I would either try to start them all at once and then overwhelm myself, or I would save them all till the end because I super procrastinate, like really badly. Okay, that's a lot better. So, maybe natural light isn't the way to go, and I'm gonna have to just figure out, shut those blinds, and use the ring light that you can see in my glasses that bugs me. So yeah, I think having the schedule actually really levels me and keeps me sane. And I think having those break days plugged in helps. So I'm glad I did this where I have a rhyme or reason. We'll see how March goes because March is a start every day. So that might stress me out more, but Stitch Madness is a thing I've been doing for several years, so I don't think it's going to crazy stress me out. I'm also trying to give myself some grace. Like, if a plan, this is my plan, it may not happen. There may be times that I have to change things up. Like, the other day it was snowing and we lost power, and I was like, okay, well, that's going to mean, things are going to have to shift. Thankfully, it came back on and we didn't have to go there. But I'm not going to not live my life because I have to start this project this day. So if something comes up, I'm going to let it come up. I know I have friends getting married in October. So does that mean I'm not going to go to Pennsylvania for the wedding? If it's a possibility, no, I'm not going to, say that traveling isn't happening because I have to start these things. So it's my plan. But I can also cross out it on the calendar and be like, it's just getting started at this day. Project bags. I showed. People were asking how I stitch so fast. I don't know. It's just how I stitch. I don't have kids at home. I'm not a housekeeper. Like, I don't love to clean or anything, so I'm not going to go spend my time doing that because that does not de-stress me at all. So I stitch when I'm like my evenings, and it's, Brandon and I are kind of opposite shifts, so I'll get dinner done. Sometimes I don't really cook dinner, and it's just how I decompress in the evening. I used to be a morning stitcher too, but I am not a morning person anymore. So we'll see. I'm not feeling burnt out at all. I'm really glad people are enjoying seeing the progress. My favorite whip so far. I don't know. That's a really hard question for me because so much of it is what I'm in the mood to stitch at that point and how the fabric fits my mood and that type of stitching it is. So again, there isn't one that's screaming, I didn't enjoy this at all. And I don't know that there's one that's like ultimately standing out like, yes, this is it. Winter Fox, I really, really enjoyed working on. Cinnamon Stars, I'm super excited about getting back to. And the In All Things Be Exceedingly Diligent. Those would be my top from the month. Am I still excited about my plan? Yep, I really am. I'm thinking about next year and how I'm going to finish some of these things. Like I said, my goal is 40 finishes this year, so we'll see how that works, but I do want to get through some of these. So it's not like I just want these on my shelf and sitting. Like, that's why I want to get more than just a thread length in when I'm starting it, because it's not so daunting to pick it back up again. When I usually do Madness, I have a thing that I can't stitch on anything else that day unless I finish it. That's not my goal for these. If I'm going to stitch on something else, it's fine. But I want to see progress. I want to see a marked area as a start so that when I pick it up again, it doesn't feel like a new start. It feels like a whip. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it kind of does in my head. A project I'm most looking forward to. I have a couple. I really do. And I had somebody email and ask me for like my starts in April. I'm pretty tight-lipped about what I'm going to be starting, and I'm not sure why. It's so funny because I've had these planned for forever. Like, I've had my list done. I wish I would have written down the date, and I haven't changed it. And I swear, I kid you not, people will be starting the things that I have seen nobody else start, that I've been like, this is going to be so cool. People are going to be so excited to see this because nobody stitched it. And then somebody else will pull it out and be like, this is what I'm working on this year. And I'm like, really? But I love that too, because it means that more people are seeing it and more people are doing it, and we're giving props to this industry and all of that. I have had questions in the past about, aren't you going to get off track during market and want to do that? I'm not an impulse starter. However, I have a caveat for this year, because there are some things that I am going to need to stitch that are not in my list. One of them will be determined in a release, and details will be released. However, like, I stitched the It's You I Like for all my new staff members, and I had a lot of staff turnover recently, not just because of life and things like that, and I had some open positions, and so I want to welcome in my new staff members with that. And I'm like, I had this conversation with my mom the other day, because I'm like, that's not 222. Like, I don't know how I stitched something else. And I need a reason, and it needs to be justified in order for my head to embrace it and it to be an okay thing to break the rules, because I don't know why my mind works how it does. But I decided that, okay, so if you watch the marathon video, we said I was born 9 weeks early. Supposed to be born in April. I was born February 22nd. So I've decided that I can have 9 premature 2023 starts. So for the things that I just can't wait to do, I'm giving myself 9 slots. And I think it works. So they will be technically starts this year, but they're premature 2023 starts. So that's my little caveat to allow me for the impulse starts that I want to do. However, I don't generally just do that. Like, I'm pretty good about waiting. But it gives me, if there's a sale going on that I want to hop into, I have that ability. I also got a lot of questions about, like, how I picked the fabric and did that. Very deliberate when I stitch my fabric. My mom and I sat at her house, and I had her help me with everything. And there's a lot of things that go into my thought process with it. It's things that don't go into my thought process that probably should. What is the finished size of this piece going to be, and will I have a frame that it could go into? That's not a thought in my head. I'm thinking about what the fabric is going to be like. So if it's a week's piece, I've learned I like to stitch those condensed things. So I'm not going to want to stitch something that has lots of individual stitches here and there. Like, I'm going to want blocks of color with that, because that's how my stitches lay best. If it's Picture This Plus, 40 count tends to be a little tighter for me. So maybe I don't do a huge project on that, because I can sometimes get a little frustrated that it hurts my fingers. I also am very conscious about the colors. I want to make sure that I'm using all sorts of different colors when I'm doing it. So when we kitted this up, what we did, my goal when I took all my fabric to my mom's was that we would kit up the January through April. I wanted to have everything done for January through April. And I had most of the floss pulled, but I didn't have all the floss for the rest of the colors. And when I'm picking fabric, I always like to have my floss, because then I can lay it on the fabric and decide if it's a good fit for me. I'm much more prone to stick to colors of floss than I am to stick to what the fabric is that the designer picked. I make note of it on my project cards. You'll see, like, the stitch count that they designed it for, and like maybe what they stitched it on, but I feel very free to change up however I want to stitch on the fabric. So what we did was we took my pieces of fabric, and like I said, I had a fairly decent stash. You should have seen my mom. She was like, Jen, come on, you're being a little penny pincher here. And we took my big ass projects first. So we took all the huge ones and said, let's look at those first, because if we're going to cut into a piece of fabric, I don't want to find the perfect piece of fabric and already have cut it into 10 little pieces. So we did biggest to smallest. The thing I really liked about that was I'm not then just gravitating towards one piece. It spread them throughout the whole year. So if I had one fat quarter and the big ass project I was starting was in April, but I had some medium-sized projects in January, I was seeing that fabric sprinkled throughout the year. So that was something that we were very conscious of when we did. I also keep just kind of like a scrap bin of fabrics that I can go to and just kind of pull out littler pieces. Did have a panic with one of my pieces for February that I was like, what were we thinking? This is not going to fit. And we only had one tragic mishap with cutting fabric, which I still don't know how we got through it all. And it actually turned out to be fine. I think you all saw me asking for murky. I plugged the murky into everywhere else, but we had a miscount because I kept referring to the fabric in linen sizes instead of Aida sizes, and so the math got confusing. I don't like math. But that's been taken care of, and I got replacement. So, can my bangs stop being annoying? I don't know what I was saying anymore. So, yeah, but we went in with a plan to do through April, but we ended up matching fabric for every piece. I have, well, all but two, I think. I had to have one that I had a specific way I wanted it finished. And so we had, and both of them were like that. One, we had to get the box that it was going to be finished in, and the other one is going to be finished into a clock. And so I wanted the clock there so I knew what size fabric to cut. We got them all. And so it's like, oh, okay, now I have fabric for everything. But I have to keep reminding myself that all my floss isn't organized yet. So I am going to have to take some days throughout the months before April to really go through and make sure that my floss is good to go. So since I have some breaks in my calendar this month, I am going to make sure that I do a day or two just to kind of get the rest of the year ready. And I think I'm going to try to plug that in throughout the year too. Just say, okay, on the second Saturday of the month, I'm going to spend time organizing and getting stuff back to where it needs to be. Things like that. Okay, I've talked enough. I'm done. Not done because I still have things to show you. So my big ass focus for this past month was Prairie Schooler alphabet blocks. That's why I have my Scrabble mug today, because it's the alphabet. Well, it's J. I'm stitching this on 40 count vintage country mocha, and I got that S block. That was what I was working on during the marathon. I got that done. Again, my goal for these in the acrostic is 400 minutes. So I was able to get that finished, and then I pulled it out again and was working on the B block. I stitch from left to right because I roll my stitching, and I find it rolls better and more evenly for me if it's fully stitched down the side. So I typically go down and across. My non-big ass project focus, so my other one, is this Jeanette Douglas numero no. This will be coming back out because I do want to get it finished this year. And this is on 40 count Ren by Picture This Plus. I got all the little blocks in. But I realized that I wanted to do some changes. So you can see that this here was number 25. I changed it to 22 because I'm stitching this in 2022. I'm going to change down here and just write 2022 in that block. I'm going to change the 19 is going to stay, but then the 17 I'm going to change to 82 since it was the year I was born. So I do want to get this finished this year since it's kind of commemorating the year now that I'm plugging the numbers in. So that is something that I will be pulling back out. But again, this is where I am at with that. And then the project, my oldest whip going into this year is The Great Pumpkin Conspiracy by Cross-Eyed Cricket. Sorry, there's a glare. I started this during my first madness in 2018. I'm stitching it on 40 count Luna by by Lakeside. That's where I am with that so far. So this will be coming out at least once a month to try to shoot for that finish. Like I said, I'm not going to pull it out. Like I won't, like now I feel like it's free to pull out for February, but I didn't want to pull it out before I showed it to you guys, so. I have these rules in my head and I'm not sure why. If you guys want to see some finishes that my mom framed for me, let's go ahead and do that. This is Hibernation Day Sampler. It's by Plum Street. I love it. Isn't that frame great? And these were stash frames she had. She's so good to me. I stole her stash. She lets me. I don't know where to put this stuff. I can't believe the cats haven't been over. This frame, like, it fits perfect. Jenny Bean's Friendship Sampler. I love the Jenny Bean series. Old frame. This was not a stash frame. This one I did buy from Craft Gallery. This is Stars Bright by Lindy Stitches. I did a stash conversion for the granny squares, but I did the called for the birds. And I changed it to say games instead of books, since we are more gamers than readers. This is Home Is by Poppy Creations. I went through, I did some personalizing on this one. First of all, that frame and the pop of color, like how bizarre is it? This just random old frame has like this quirky pop of color that just matches this perfectly. But I added, I forget what the actual pattern says. Home is, and then I was going to change like live, I think it says live simply. But I put established 2010 because that's when Brandon and I got married, and I put our name, our last name on the bottom. And then each of the houses, we've lived at 6 different addresses since we've gotten married. So it has the house numbers for the 6 different houses leading up to where we currently are. And this is for the rest of our life. But I really like our house now, so we'll see. But we have, not that I'm going to change it, but you know. This is HL's Moth, but I changed it to JL. I did a conversion for this one. And I just did it. I did the conversion. It's not perfect. But it was like my first time playing with color. This is the Christmas Tree by All Through the Night. And this frame, it's really old and like, it's so cool though. Like I love it, but it photographs and kind of looks very plasticky. It's not. It's very, very old, vintagey like. This is just a random bizarre frame, but this is one of the coffee is or my birthstone. I don't remember what it is. I did rechange this to There's Always Time for Coffee instead of having my initials done again down here. So I put a quote in there instead. And this Quaker Diamond by Hillside. And that was a lot of over one that I had messed up and had to tear out, and it was awful. But I really like how it turned out, so I'm happy with it. And like that frame fits perfect. So those are my finishes. I've gotten a good start on February and I'm enjoying what I'm doing so far. So looking forward to getting back to that. My big ass project focus for this month is Life After Death. And my other focus is, I don't remember. You'll have to find out and tune in next time when I give you the recap, because I can't for the life of me remember what my smaller project is that I'm focusing on. Maybe Stitcher Sampler? I don't know. These are my red glasses. I don't think I had them on in the last film. 11 pairs of glasses. Different ones every single time you see me. So, as always, I hope stitching is bringing you calm, peace, whatever it is. If it's not, put it down. Do something that's going to make you feel better about life. There's enough stress. So don't stress yourself out about anything that you're doing. enjoy it. I'm looking forward to showing you more with what I'm doing, and when you see me next, I will be a year older. 40. How is that possible? I still feel like I'm like a teenager, like little kid that needs permission to do everything. I don't want to make real life decisions. I'm not an adult yet. Guess I kind of am. A little bit. So anyway, I just encourage you to do, stitch, read books, cook, sit, take naps, whatever it is. Find your thing that makes you find peace and decompress a bit and do it. And don't feel guilty about doing it, because you are a better you when you take the time for it. I'm done admonishing. Keep making those X's, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye, guys.